go with me today on a little journey. We're gonna go into Reddit and read some of the posts and comments from your favorite Redditors. I don't know if they're your favorites or not, but we're gonna read some comments and posts from Redditors who are asking questions about divorce, separation, etc. So go with me now. So here's the first one. This guy is basically saying, hey, I love my wife, I love my children, I'm not perfect, I've done some awful things, nothing abusive or hurtful. How do you do awful things that aren't abusive or hurtful? I'm not really sure. More like some emotional, neglectful inactions, I guess, which could be considered abusive. I'm not sure. Not very emotionally intelligent person. Layered myself with these self-defenses from being sexually abused, caretaker, okay, and he's getting into some details here. Neglected by my own parents. I'm doing what I can to make sure that I break this chain, but like I said, I'm incredibly flawed. What's interesting to me is like his whole explanation starts with, I love my wife. I love my children. I know I'm not perfect. Like, dude, cut the drama. The facts are this, is you sound like an abusive person who's emotionally not intelligent, and you are neglectful. What that neglect is, I don't know. But here's what's interesting is he goes on to say, my wife noted in heated arguments that she's just waiting for the right time to divorce me. Every moment after fights like this, I feel like it's borrowed time. So now his ego is at play. She has a long memory of my mistakes and flaws. I tend to forget almost instantly. Maybe it's a coping mechanism I developed when I was a child. So one day I started writing down what she would say to me during fights. Like, this is so toxic, it's not even funny. So this guy is basically in a place where he, quote unquote, supposedly loves his wife, quote unquote, supposedly loves his children so much that whenever he argues with his wife and she says, I'm just waiting for the right time to divorce you, he has then begun to make a list of everything she says about him. This is some toxic shit. So literally, he's written down here, less than useless, you do nothing, you're useless, I'm better. Here's pages almost of all of the things. I'm done with you, I'm stuck with you, nothing. He says, I don't know what to do anymore. Do I endure for 15 more years? Or wait till my girl is 18? Or do I dig my heels down and be strong and think that maybe someday? Like, dude, where are your balls at right now? Like, this is some toxic stuff. So here's what I'd say to you, because I know you're obviously, not in a good place. Here's what I'd say to you, man, is reading this, first, you got to look at yourself and start taking some accountability. That's always what I tell people. All this emotional stuff that you're dealing with is coming from a place of childlike, meaning like there's this part of you that's just never grown up. You're almost like an 8 or 9-year-old boy responding to her right now. And so you're having these arguments with a grown woman and you're like a child. I guarantee she's probably got some parts of her that are immature, etc. But this is a lack of maturity. I don't even know what to tell you. Oh, then you got to start taking ownership and start looking at your own shit. You're basically lying to yourself about a lot of this. I'm sure that your arguments are heated, and I'm sure that she probably says some not so nice things. But you putting all of this out here just feels like you're looking for somebody to feel sorry for you. Feels like you're just looking for somebody to just like go, oh my goodness, you poor little boy. It's so sad what you've been through. And that's not what you need right now. You don't need someone to feel sorry for you. You need someone to call you out and say, hey man, this is not okay. You putting your wife out here on blast, I get if you're confused, like, hey, my wife's been saying these things to me and I want to understand because I want to be a better human. And, how do I understand these things? Like, that's different. That's not what you're saying here. You're basically like, let me put her on blast. Let me talk about all the shit she does. Even though I love her, I'm not sure if I should stay with her. But she's also saying the same thing to you. So it's really confusing. All right, let's go to the next one. Inevitable divorce. I replied to a post in here earlier. The last 6 years with my wife have been hellish. She cheated on me when we were barely married 4 months. She has stuck me multiple times, verbally abused me, said give me things along the lines of it's easier to keep you around for the 2 incomes. We don't have any kids, no community property besides 401ks. What drove her over the edge today was me working an hour late at my side gig where hours are not always set. Gonna be tough as my whole family loves her and I love her family. As a Christian, divorce has always scared me, never bring it up. Prayers and good vibes are needed for the months ahead. Your marriage started out obviously toxic, dude. It sounds like you've been living in toxic hell. But the fact is there's a lot of things happening. First, she cheated on you right away, which says, hey, she's in a bad place. Clearly, she's in a bad place. But what it also says, you've allowed this stuff to continue. And I don't know how long you've known about the affair, but like what boundaries were put in place after that? What have you allowed? Because that's the thing, is people can hurt us and continue to do things to us, especially if we have no boundaries. So if you've just allowed her to do whatever the fuck she wants, she's going to do that. She is going to do that because you have no boundaries saying, hey, this is not okay. So you've allowed that. you're basically resigned to this idea that she's just going to divorce you anyways. The interesting thing here is you say, as a Christian, divorce has always scared me. Well, why? Why does divorce scare you? Do you feel like you're going to hell? Like, that's an interesting statement even in that sense, because then it sounds like you're just staying with her because you're supposed to, or that's what good Christians do. And I would challenge that, even from like a scriptural standpoint. Like, I'm pretty sure Jesus said, if your wife has committed adultery, you can divorce her. But I'm not a pastor, so I don't know. So there's a lot here that you need to look at. The first thing, again, is like I tell every guy, you need to look at yourself. What have I allowed to happen? I married this person. What in me attracted this person? Go from there. Set boundaries, move on. It's called Life's a Struggle. I feel really alone right now and I just need to vent. I was engaged to a woman I loved. She just couldn't stop lying to me. We had all kinds of things planned, a house being built, fairy tale life, but she continued being deceitful. I turned to a female friend because I was done. Notice he didn't say he stopped the relationship with her. He turned to the other girl because he was done with this one. Interesting. I called everything off and felt so lost, but had a friend telling me everything I wanted to hear. I lost my future wife, my future family, my future house, everything I'd worked years to get. Then I fall in love, quote unquote, with said friend. We get engaged within a year, married within another 3 months. Everything she told me I deserved and I needed, she was not living up to once we got married. It has been hell. Interesting how this happens. I really know I can't be the only one to be married to someone who picks and picks and picks until you explode, and then she acts like the victim. Now I'm being called a liar, a fake, and a baby, and a bunch of other stuff. This was the woman that was supposed to rescue me. The woman who promised she would take care of me and never do these things to me. Holy shit, dude. You're looking for your mom. What the fuck? You're looking for your mom to rescue you? I mean, did you suck on her titty and everything? Like, what the hell? Who goes to a woman and says, you're supposed to take care of me and never do these things like my other woman did to me? Oh, and she's a victim? What do you think you are? What is this shit? Picks and picks until you explode. So what you're saying is that she basically will tell you things to keep you accountable, probably, because you don't do what you say you're going to do. And then you finally just unload on her. And then she gets upset, obviously, because of how you're treating her. Here's the thing, man, is like you have got to look at yourself right now and be honest with yourself. Because right now you're not being honest with yourself. Right now you are looking in this whole thing of you're the victim, not her. You feel like you're the victim. It's all everyone else's fault because you're looking for mommy and mommy has left you. That is a sad fucking day to be at, man. I honestly feel sorry for you. I don't have any empathy for you in that regard. But here's where I will have empathy is you don't know how to respond. And that's the thing. At the end of the day, no man has ever taught you how to respond, how to be in this situation, how to be masculine. So here's what you have to do. You have to look at your own self. You have to look in the mirror and go, okay, how did I contribute to the failure of this second relationship? Because basically what you're doing is you're repeating. You've got a pattern of relationships that are failing constantly, left and right. And now you're at this place where you're like, so what am I supposed to do? Start all over again? I can't continue with this? Why does that matter? The fact is you never started over to begin with. You basically went from one person to the next right away without really taking time to heal from the other relationship. So basically it's like having an affair. And when you do that, you create this magical fairy tale like, oh, it's gonna be so much better with this person. The grass is gonna be greener. And so you start a new relationship with the second person, and that person can't give you what the first person was trying to give you either, because they're two different people. And so you have to heal from the first thing. So this is where I would tell you to start, is you need to look at yourself and ask yourself, what got you into this in the first place? Who's responsible? Who's the common denominator between the two women? You are.